Hello, hello. Good morning, ladies. Happy Wellness Wednesday. Wow, we're coming up on almost mid-month February. I don't know about you, but I feel like the year is already off to a very fast start. And today I wanted to talk to you about something, even though it's about wellness, right? And it's really important. I want to talk about some of the things that have happened to me based on my own experiences around the suffering piece of being suffering in silence, especially when you are affected by what I like to call the eight silent sisters of limiting beliefs. And the these are the sisters, the silent sisters, which I believe manage our thoughts and emotions. And what ends up happening then is when our thoughts and emotions are managing us, especially when our thoughts are managing the emotions, which are managing how we show up in the world, it steals our time. And it's really not fun to be a part of that. So I wanted to talk to you, and excuse the noise, but I wanted to talk to you about these eight silent sisters of limiting beliefs. And as I said, these are my beliefs based around my own personal experiences. Let me tell you a little bit about my story, a little bit about my story. Um, when I first started coaching, almost 4 years ago, when I started coaching, it was basically 3.5 ish years ago when I started coaching. And I didn't really have 100% dialed in version of what that would look like because I was new. I was brand new. I was doing it by myself. I was trying to figure out all the moving pieces by myself, thinking, okay, I can do this because I've been watching other people. I saw how other people ran their businesses, but I didn't really know everything. And good morning. Hello, hello. Thanks for popping in. And I didn't really understand what that was all about. Because if you don't really, I've never really been surrounded by people who were business minded, really, except in my career as being a paralegal legal assistant. But I still didn't have like the ins and outs, the intricacies of what a business is supposed to look like from the inside, right? I just saw outwardly how everything was put together, but I didn't know all the moving parts. And so when I became a new coach, a lot of things happened to me in my own experience. And what I found was that I was really good. Now, let's be clear on this. I was really good at what I was doing in my profession. I was extremely talented. It's not that I'm bragging, but I was. I believe that I did a really good job. And the reason, because I had that mindset that I work for other people and I'm there to do a service for them because they're paying me for this service. But I didn't want to do it half ass because that's not who I am. It's not how I operate. But I knew at later on in my life when it no longer the hustle and the grind in working for other people at in that particular field no longer gave me like that joy, the freedom of living my life from that, oh, I can do anything mindset. I wanted to transition into doing something that I loved, but unfortunately, I didn't know what that was. And what I did was I allowed myself to continuously suffer in silence with these limiting beliefs around not having time to figure it out, not knowing how to figure it out, believing that there was no possibility of me to figure out what I could do because I'm good at this. So maybe you're only dealt the cards you're dealt. And if you're good at something, that's what's meant for you in life. But I felt really stuck until I hit rock bottom 5 years ago, and actually a little less than 5 years ago, but I hit rock bottom when my health started to really take a dip. I didn't know what was wrong, but the doctors kept telling me there's nothing wrong. But you know how you feel inside? You just know it's off. Something is off. I truly believe that God was just trying to get my attention. And he was trying to get my attention to show me what you're doing isn't is not really good for your health. Meaning I was working such long hours. And I mean, when I say long hours, I'm talking about I get up at 5 every day. I'd go into work early. I'd stay late. I'd bring work home. And I'd probably go to bed around 9ish to do it all over again the next day. And I was bringing work home on the weekends, which left really little to, if any time at all for myself, was pretty non-existent. And how about trying to keep your marriage together in that environment? Not too healthy, right? And so my life revolved around my job. And I had no time to do anything for myself, let alone having quality time with my husband. And when I did become that new coach, finally, after going through my own journey of, well, I had to learn, what does it mean really to be Leslie and loving myself? Because I didn't love myself. At that time, I really hated the life I was living. I didn't love myself at all. I hated everything about life. I blamed my husband. I felt like he wasn't living on easy street because he didn't have the pressures that I did. But I felt trapped. And I don't know if you've ever felt that way, but I felt trapped in a life that I felt there was no escape from. But I was suffering alone because I didn't know how to articulate it. And if I wanted to articulate it, well, how do you articulate to your husband that you hate your life and you blame him for it, right? Not actually conducive to a very healthy conversation. But as I went through my own self-development journey through self-love and through mindset and learning about how our thoughts and our emotions are the ones that can actually either bring us into that state of gratitude or put us into that state of, well, it's all of those suffering emotions. And you can either allow gratitude to give you that energy so that you can go about your business during the day, showing up the way you want to, or you be in that suffering state of mind and you no longer are in control of your actions because your thoughts and your emotions are managing you, which is stealing your time because then you're no longer doing anything. You're not in the doing of things that bring you joy. So I learned that I've been suffering a lot. And I realized a lot of these emotions, these things that I'm going to talk to you about, that what I call the 8 silent sisters of limiting beliefs, based around my own personal experiences. I'd really like to bring these to you because I know that it's important that we become more self-aware of the things we're thinking based on our life, like what's happening in our lives. Because things aren't perfect and they never will be. And guess what? It's okay. In fact, I love the fact that my life can change from day to day as long as I'm operating from the state of gratitude. And I'll get into that. So the first one of the silent sisters is self-criticism, right? This is the silent sister who's criticizing everything you do, that you're not good enough, that everything has to be perfect, that you have to look for outside validation. And if you don't get what you want, then you start criticizing everything you do because you're not good enough or you're worthy or deserving, right? And so that gets you in this vicious cycle of always criticizing everything you do, and you don't trust the things that you do. You don't show up in your world trusting the things that you do. Because if you trusted the things that you did, you wouldn't be criticizing yourself. In fact, you might go to what I call the opposite to that, which is self-reflection. And you start looking at the what's working, why is it working, and can it be improved upon without being perfect, right? And you stay away from the I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy enough, or they said I'm not good enough, or people are judging and criticizing what I'm putting out there, so it must not be good enough. And instead you're reflecting on, you know what? That's people's opinion. And guess what? We all have one. But again, a lot of the time we think, and I've done this myself, my own personal opinion, like I said, these are based on my own experiences, that I have actually assumed that someone was thinking a certain way based on my own disbelief in myself, my own self-criticisms, my own worthiness, believing that my worth came from external places rather than from within, right? And so I didn't allow myself to reflect on the what's working, the why it's working, and can it be improved upon, until I started going through these journeys of self-love and discovery. Last year, for example, was one of the most pivotal years of my life. And it allowed me to realize that I've been living in the land of self criticism for a long time. And when I learned to turn that to self reflection, that helped me to start asking the more powerful questions that were more positive, that were more uplifting and encouraging for me. So if you're in that frame of mind, I get it. I've been there before. Don't beat yourself up because it can happen. We're human. We are human. We are emotional, right? So don't allow that to not make you navigate your day from that place, because if you beat yourself up for being, for having emotions, and maybe that you were in this self-criticism world, or maybe you still are, know that there is another side to it, that you can actually move yourself from this point A of feeling like negative and all of that, to like, okay, I'm focusing on all these negative things. Why don't I switch it to more positive? How do I get to that more positive state? By asking more positive questions. Because it really does, by the way, come down to the questions that we ask ourselves. So when I say the why, when I ask someone, about their limiting beliefs, I don't want you to start thinking about why I was thinking that way. I want you to start thinking about how I can change that to more positive, because the why is irrelevant. You want to know why the why is irrelevant in that particular case? Because all that will do is start the negative self-talk and take you down those negative emotions and thoughts, which will steal your time. And I would rather you use your time more effectively by looking at the positives. Like, I'm not worthy or deserving. One of my empowering new decisions is my worth has already been proven by God. Like, he's already proven my worth. All I got to do is look to the cross. That is my evidence. Okay, so my new empowering decision around that, my new empowering belief, is that my worth has already been proven by God, and the evidence, because I truly believe that if you can support your new thoughts with evidence to support the new thoughts, that helps. So my new evidence is, there's already proof. It's already out there. I just look to the cross, right? So that's just something for you to think about. So the first one, as I said, was self-criticism. So the second silent sister is self-defeating. So with this one, failure became a mantra for me during the first stages of my life. Absolutely up until, like, I've been a coach for 3.5 years. So probably for the first 2 years of being a coach, I was very self-defeating. I was thinking that my mantra was, I'm not good enough. I'm not failure. I'm a failure. I'm not going to succeed. I'm not going to be as good as so-and-so. They've got the secret sauce, the special sauce. They've got the magic pill that they were worthy enough to get access to because they grew up a specific way and they're one of the worthy ones, and I'm not. I was placing a value system on the word worthiness. And that's something that I've talked about in the group before. But your worth is not based on a value system. You are worthy, and you are worthy right now because you were born. You are existing. So you are worthy. And your human worthiness is not up for debate by anyone and any value system. There's no value system. Yes, some people might have more wealth and abundance right now. Yes, some people might have less than you. That doesn't make them better than you, and that doesn't make you better than them or them less than you. You all are equally worthy, okay? As a human being, you are worthy. So there's no value system, and I truly believe that to my core. And I learned this through going through my own self-discovery journey, right? But the failure mantra of I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, I'll never succeed, all of those things was not making me get into that negative state of mind. I was not happy at all. And I couldn't find happiness. And the other thing is I couldn't celebrate anyone else's successes. And someone I know talked about this year being a year of celebration for them. And I realized too, that you need to have celebration in your life to be able to stack on gratitude memories, right? Those celebration memories are going to take you a long way, especially if you get into a moment of a silent sister trying to attach herself to you. So the opposite to the self-defeating is self-empowerment, by finding ways to to empower yourself to show up for yourself on a daily. So I switching that I'm not good enough, or like I said, I'm not worthy or deserving of success was one of mine. And I said, my worthiness is already been proven by God, and I found the existing evidence to support it. Mic drop, seriously, because there's actually nothing else that I need to add as supporting evidence for my worth, right? So changing that to more self-empowering message for yourself will help you through that and get away from the silent sister of self-defeating, because she doesn't want you to succeed. She's actually one of your inner villain's weapons. We have the inner villain and the inner hero. The inner villain is the one who's actually uh, leaning into your limiting beliefs and finding supporting evidence for you, because that's what you're focusing on. Whereas your inner hero is helping you to find the supportive evidence for all of the powerful messages, so that you can come from a place of gratitude, so that you have the energy in that higher vibrational energy to go about planning out your day from that powerful energy source. And that is who the inner hero is. She's really powerful. I'm going to be talking about her, your inner hero, next tomorrow, actually. So then the next one is of the silent sisters is self-destructive. Now this I kind of think goes hand in hand with sabotage, but it also means that you'll do things that don't serve you, possibly because you might isolate yourself, you might focus on negative thoughts only, you might be problem focused, you might spend money you don't have, because you think that by doing that it's going to make you feel instantly better. And of course, instant gratification only lasts so long. And you may say and do things that you don't mean to do, and then don't serve you. And yes, I'm speaking from experience, thinking that, when I wanted to go out and make myself feel better because I was in that low energy, I'd go shopping. I haven't been in a mall in I can't even tell you the last time I was in a mall. Okay. But I used to live in malls, especially when I lived in Toronto, where I grew up. And I was at the mall all the time, every day. When I worked downtown, I was out at lunch walking around, and I loved window shopping. And sometimes I go shopping and buy myself something. But you know what I ended up doing afterwards, which was really kind of crazy, but I realized what I was doing, because I felt shame. I was hiding my purchases from my husband. And I'm thinking, why would I do that? I get paid well. I am allowed to have these things, right? But I felt guilty and I felt ashamed. And so, that was really hard. And I realized that was because I was not believing in myself. And so, there were times, like I said, when I wanted to make myself feel better, I'd go spend money I didn't have. Now, you know what the flip side to that was? When I spent money that I didn't have, I got even more shameful guilt about it. And I always believed that money didn't like me at all. In fact, I believed that money meant to punish me. So I'd buy myself something and a bill would show up. I'd have to return that so I could pay for this bill. That was the cycle I was living in. That was the mindset. I was very self-destructive in how I thought. And the flip side to that, which when I started realizing these things about myself, was I started looking to be more self-creative, basically looking for solutions rather than focusing on obstacles, which we know will always be there, because that's life. Life will throw curveballs, put up roadblocks. It's how we manage those. And especially when you are in that mindset of gratitude energy, and I will continuously repeat that because it's a very powerful energy to be living your life from. You look for your solutions, you become more resourceful, and you practice your gratitude to engage your gratitude energy. And so when you do that, it helps you to plan out your day, to structure out your days, to live in your day from this place. And yes, life will show up, and yes, life will try to derail you, because that's just how things are. It's not perfect. We have families, we have things that we do on a day-to-day. I've had many times where the internet has gone out here in Mexico. It hasn't always been reliable, and things like that, right? But when you look for the solutions to doing things, being more resourceful, practicing from this gratitude energy, you're being more creative, you're putting yourself in a higher level vibrational place, and you're getting away from the self-destructive silent sister, right? You're getting away from her. So that one is the third one. So let's talk about The fourth one, which I know has been a major player in my life, and that is self-doubt. Because what ended up happening was, being a newbie coach, I didn't believe in the quality of the stuff that I was producing, whether it was my live videos, the content I was producing. I would criticize that, letting self-criticism piggyback onto self-doubt, and I'd criticize the content that I would put out there, and what I was creating, second guessing my decisions, not trusting myself. Trust is a huge word for me. And I learned that actually became my word for last year. I had to, because if I didn't learn trust, I wasn't going to be able to move forward. And in the self doubt, I also had comparison syndrome. I was looking at other people. Oh, and then add on to that, imposter syndrome, right? I was doubting everything about myself because I believed that so and so over here, who's a coach who looks like they got it all put together, it was like, oh my gosh, how can I compare to that? And then I started looking inward at my stuff. I'm thinking, I'm an imposter. And then thinking, well, who am I to actually think that I have the ability or the capability or the skills to coach somebody? So I started second guessing myself, second guessing my decision to become a coach. I was doubting like crazy, instead of, on the flip side, having self-confidence. Now, self-confidence is something you have to, it's a muscle. You have to really, really engage yourself. Hannah, who's on here live, has said, living in your fear, like doing it anyway. You're afraid, but you just do it anyway. And a lot of the time when I allowed myself to do it anyway, despite my fears, once I did something, I was like, hey, that wasn't so hard. But it's in the self-doubting ourselves, not believing that we're capable, we don't have the skill set or whatever that is, whatever that looks like, or someone else is way better than we are. They got it all together and we don't. Well, when you start learning to, exercise and flex and to nurture your self-confidence muscle, you do become more confident in the things that you do. You start to trust yourself more. You don't second guess. And if you start second guessing, what I would just say is take a moment, lean back, look at the bigger picture, and ask yourself, what is it about this that I'm second guessing? Like, is there something maybe that I'm missing that I need to take a closer look at? And maybe I could change up my messaging a little bit. That's okay too. But it's not about being a perfectionist either, because it's better, done is better than perfect. I heard that saying. I'm sure you've heard that saying. I really think it's it's a brilliant saying, because getting in the doing is allowing you to see what works, what doesn't maybe not work so great. I'm not going to say doesn't work. I'm going to say doesn't work as great as you'd like it to, which allows you to self-reflect on it. What's working in it? Why is it working? If it can be tweaked, how can I tweak it and then do it again, right? And building, as I said, your self-confidence muscle. So that was the fourth one. Now, the fifth one is self-hatred. A whole list of things go here, right? Based on what you think about you, based on where you are at emotionally and the thoughts you're choosing to focus on. I hated my life. Remember, I said that back in the beginning of this video. I hated my life a lot. I hated it. It was I use the word hate, and it really, like, I can feel it right now. It's like giving me heart palpitations to even go back to thinking during that time before I started to make changes in my life, of how much I hated my life. And I honestly didn't think I was going to make it in my marriage. Tomorrow is going to be 26 years of being married. Tomorrow is the first time that I can say I am absolutely thrilled to be married to my husband. And I couldn't always say that. I didn't feel like we were going to make it, because I didn't feel like I liked our life. In fact, I hated our life. I blamed him because I didn't think he was doing enough to make me happy. And the spoiler alert to that is that saying, happy wife, happy life, I will debunk it right now. Because the reason I say that is your happiness is not contingent on someone else's actions, the things they do for you, the gifts they buy for you. Why? Because if you have a specific expectation of what happiness looks like to you and they don't meet it, then you're not going to be happy. So I want that to sink in. Your happiness is dependent on you choosing it. And then, how can you make yourself happy? I like to say, I wrote in my article, Gratitude Stacking, was that for my husband, when we had this conversation around happiness, was that maybe, again, like limiting beliefs, you find the ways to choose to be happy and stack on things that you're grateful for so that you're enhancing, you're nurturing, you're building up your happiness, right? It's not about someone else giving that to you, because if you have someone in your life that you are doing everything you can to make them happy, you're going out of your way, above and beyond, because you know it's like work, it's a chore, and they're not listening and they're not allowing you to sink in, to get through, no matter what you do, they're choosing not to be happy, and you are just going to continuously do something that's going to eventually have you suffering in silence, doubting yourself, right? Because this person that you're trying to keep happy has chosen not to be happy. So if they've chosen that, nothing, anyone, or anything, any circumstance that can happen will make them happy until they choose it. So I want that to sink in for you. So that whole saying around happy life and happy wife, now, I don't believe it, because I don't believe, unless the wife decides, you know what, I'm a happy wife because I have a happy life. I've chosen to have a happy life. That's a different saying. And that puts the onus on her. Good morning. That puts the onus on her to own her happiness. And then she can lead from that happiness. And the same for the husband or the significant other, however that looks. And they're choosing their own happiness, and you bring that dynamic together, and then you have this, right? That's just all I'm saying about that. So self-hatred was a thing. Like I said, I hated my life, and everything that I talked about was hate filled. And even the conversations that I had with my husband, and it wasn't nice, it wasn't pretty. And so I realized that if I wanted change, if I wanted to have the change about that, I had to, what I call on the flip side, I had to go on my self-love journey, which is the flip side to the fifth silent sister of self-hatred, right? I had to start learning to fill my cup daily, because I believe when you do that, you will never run on empty. You are going to be the best version of yourself daily. And anyone who you need to hold space for is going to get the best of you. And you're not going to feel resentful because you've already taken care of your needs. You've already taken care of you. You're at your highest, you're at your high optimum level. You're at this amazing gratitude energy, and you have space for them, and you are good. And when you do that and you don't run on empty, you will not feel resentful ever. I learned that the hard way, but I understand now the importance of why it was so important for me to really lean into filling my cup daily and the things that I do. It's without fail. I do not miss a day. I do my meditations daily. I have my gratitude reflections daily. I bookend my days. I stack them. I start with gratitude, which gives me that high energy to plan out my day from a high energy level. Yes, life shows up, but I'm in a high energy level to manage those things that happen. And I bookend it at the end of the day with gratitude, looking back on my day, celebrating that which I've achieved, even if it's only one thing, because one thing matters and how it's impacted my life. And I've stacked my gratitude, bookend to bookend, right? That's so important. And I learned by focusing on gratitude that I get to tap into my gratitude energy. Again, I call that gratitude stacking. And you learn to love yourself wholly and without judgment or criticism. I could never look myself in the mirror and say I love you without criticisms. I could never look at myself without seeing a flaw and pointing it out. I could never ever be able to allow other people to even comment on me without me starting to think, looking at myself, is there something maybe wrong? Like maybe doubting them. not trusting that what they were saying was actually truthful, that was beautiful. I couldn't accept that. But when I learned about self love, how important it is to really love yourself, you must love yourself so you can be the best version of yourself for you, first and foremost, and for those in your life. So, flipping self hatred to self love was huge for me. Now, the sixth one, oh gosh, Hannah, meditations. Well, I've actually created some of my own, which I love. I have a gratitude one, I've got one for stress. But what I've been doing is, and this is something I really love, is I've got a couple of things that I do now. First is I found myself, I just Google, and I Google like maybe 5 minute music or 10 minute music, gratitude music without voices, without someone guiding me. I've actually done guided meditations as well, which I love. I love when I hear someone's voice guiding me through the process. But I have now a couple of different music that I found. One is for gratitude, and I close my eyes, I take some breaths, I put my hand over my heart, and I start thinking about all of the things and the people and the experiences in my life that I am really grateful for. And there's been many things that have happened, and I don't necessarily have to write it down. I do, not all the time, but practicing this piece is really important to me. And so, practicing by putting my hand over my heart and really leaning into being grateful for all of the people, the experiences in my life, the places that I've been. You know, as you know, I'm here in Puerto Morelos, Mexico. I'm living a digital nomadic lifestyle by choice. And I get to live in different places. Like, I'm blowing my mind because I never thought this was possible. But here I am, right? Proof, because I learned to trust myself, to trust in that no matter what, God, right? God, who I said has already proven my worth, mic drop, because I don't need any more supporting evidence than to look to the cross. He gave his life for me. And I know because he did that, um, my worth's been proven. I can be grateful for every experience. And so I do that. And then the second meditation that I do is I also have another 10 minute meditation music, which is just very light. And I start focusing on what my perfect day would look like. And so I start, and it can be different. And it could be perfect day around my relationship, perfect day around my business, perfect day around family, but whatever that looks like, and just going through it is beautiful experience because you start to really see it happening in front of you. By the way, your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and non-reality. So what I'm thinking in my mind, that my brain is thinking has already happened, right? Because I'm having a visualization of something that hasn't happened, but my brain thinks it's happened or it's happening, right? And so that's what I love to do is I do a 10 minute reflection on what my perfect day would be for my family, my significant other, or like my business, whatever that looks like. So that's what I do with that. So great question. So now the sixth silent sister is self-humiliation, right? It's another one like self-doubt, but this one, oh, she's lovely. She's special. Because what she does is she'll draw attention to your flaws as if to give ammunition for others in your life to chime in and tell you your worth is exactly as you see it, right? Now, that doesn't mean the people in your life are going to go, oh, you're right. Like if you say, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving, I'm such a failure, things never work out for me, I'll never have success, all of these things. Now, you're allowing yourself to humiliate yourself, and you might even go so far as to tell someone in your life, I'm not worthy, deserving, good enough. I'm never going to achieve success. A success isn't for people like me. And people are going to look at you and going, what do you mean people like you? Because we are putting our own picture of what we think other people see when they look at us. And yes, when you're on social media, that is I wouldn't say it's a lie, but it's a picture of what your story is, but it doesn't mean it's your whole story. So people who look successful on social media, still have a life behind the scenes. And what's happening? Life is showing up and throwing curveballs and roadblocks in their way too. And are they managing them, or is time, are their emotions managing them and they're losing time? We'll never know unless they share that. But I'm sharing with you that I did draw attention to my flaws many times. I actually just recently was reminded by Facebook of a self-reflection video I did a year ago or 2 years ago, yesterday, 2 years ago yesterday, and how I was bringing attention to the fact that I didn't believe in myself, that I really felt, self-defeated. And I even did a recent Instagram video when I was living in Moncton this summer, and a young lady, her son, actually did a video back to me to lift me up. But I was really feeling things. I was in the emotion of things, and that happens, right? When not everything in your life is going as planned, a silent sister can show up just because you have tools in your tool belt and you're able to do things. A silent sister is gonna show up, and she's gonna say, "Hey, I see that's happening in your life, and that's gonna get your notice. You're gonna get your attention over there, and you're gonna start looking a little closer, and you're gonna go, oh yeah, yeah," and it's drawing your attention away to your flaws, as if to give ammunition not only to others but to yourself to start leaning into it and to believing it and not trusting that it's not true. Versus the flip side to that, which I believe is honoring yourself. So self-honoring you, meaning you're going to find ways to, like, you know what? As an example, I'll give you an example of what I do, which is something I learned from Mel Robbins, who I absolutely love. She calls it the high five habit. I got her book, which is, I haven't read it all, but it's great. There's a couple books in my library right now that I'm reading. And what I loved about this was that she said, what you do is you go in the mirror. So I do that every day. And I've been doing it like every day. And I'll go in the mirror and I'll say, "Hey, I see you. I think you're amazing. I love you so much. You are such an amazing human being. You have so much potential. I can't wait to see what you create. You have been doing amazing." And it's not the same every day of what I say to myself, but I tell myself that I love myself. I blow myself a kiss and I give myself a high five. And that's how I'm honoring me, by the words I choose to speak over myself. Now, I shared in the group today a video that I got from TED Talk, because I'm on the mailing list. And I shared a video about a young lady who, it was like a little over 10 minutes, and how she kisses her brain. If you haven't had a chance to watch the video, please just watch it. It's so amazing. She's so inspiring, and I love that. So that is the 6 silent sister self-humiliation. So let's talk about one that we probably all have had many conversations with, and that is self-sabotage. Yay, right? Self-sabotage. She shows up and you're in the doing of things, and then you start to get into the self-doubt, because now she's letting self-doubt chime in her ear, and she's then saying, "Oh, really? Well, let's get into her skin and tell her that it's not working," right? Let's start making her take a quick look at what she's doing and make herself second guess herself. Okay, and what happens? What happened to me many times is I get into the stop-start mode, meaning I get into momentum, things would be going good. I thought I was doing great. Things wouldn't be looking the way I expected them. My expectations weren't being met in a specific way. And so I started looking at it, doubting it, criticizing it, and finally stopping. And I would get into these stop-start frames of mind. Thank you, Hannah. I get into these stop-start frames of mind. And I was always on this carousel. Starting, yay, in momentum, looking good, loving it in a high energy, high gratitude, get into a low point, get into the oh, I don't like it, criticizing, doubting, self-doubt, done, Sabotage, let's go procrastinate and do something else. Oh, Netflix, let's go watch um, one of my things, which I have to admit, is I watch the Real Housewives. Right now, I'm in the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and that's interesting. But anyways, that right now is really only to fill time when I'm just trying to figure out like what other people are doing in the world. But it's really just like one of those just weird things that I'm attracted to watch those shows. But it takes me like 3 days to watch one. So my whole frame of mind has shifted from stop start, because now I'm in the start. I'm staying in the momentum because I have more confidence around what I'm doing. And even if I don't hear anything from anyone or no one's involved in my videos, that's okay, because I'm in the doing. And I'll celebrate that the shit out of that at the end of the day. I'm going to say, yes, good job, Leslie. You did a great job today. But in the self-sabotage mode, I was doing that. And what would happen is I'd spend hours in front of this laptop. I kid you not, 15-hour days. And even on the weekends. And what would happen is burnout would show up all of the time. And then again, procrastination. So the flip side to that is, instead of self-sabotaging, I learned to self-encourage myself. So self-encouragement by focusing within, because all of the things, the inner work to feeling good about yourself, to getting all of these wonderful flip sides to the negatives of limiting beliefs, is all about the work within. We create that from within. It's not external. It doesn't come from external. Remember, things outside of your life cannot make you happy until you choose to be happy. So I learned to focus within, and I allowed my inner hero, because that's the flip side to the inner villain. She's waiting. She's waiting to like empower you. She's wearing her cape and she's standing strong and she's saying, let's go for it, girl. Right? So she's there to lift you up. She's there to encourage you and she's focusing on you. She wants you to believe in you. She wants you to have that amazing day, that you look after yourself daily with your self-care, because you deserve it. And so your inner hero is saying, hey, over here, I know you're feeling this way, but there is a better way. You can deal with all of that shit, excuse my expressions, but you can deal with all of that, but at a higher energy level, that you can deal with it more productively rather than letting your emotions steal your time. So that's the seventh one. And the final silent sister is self-sacrifice. So this is, I look at it a different way than what the model is, self-sacrifice, giving of yourself above others, right? I look at this in a different frame of mind, because I was looking at what I was doing and feeling resentful around it. I wasn't feeling good about giving up my needs so that others could be met before I got into this self-discovery, self-love, all of that, the self-development. I didn't know about the self-development world really, but when I became introduced to it, it's changed my mindset. But at first, my mindset around self-sacrifice was, instead of sacrificing your needs because, like for example, because instead of sacrificing your needs because you feel selfish or too busy or not worthy or deserving, and so you sacrifice yourself to give more than you receive and believe. That's what I was in. I was thinking I was sacrificing myself, getting more than I received. Meaning, I believe, this is one of my limiting beliefs that I had to really look at and be honest. This is something that I work with my clients when I take them through my 6-month container. The very beginning is mindset. And you talk to anyone in the industry, they're going to tell you your mindset is key. If you want success in this world, you have to dial it in. So one of my limiting beliefs that I believe I had to overgive of everything that I did if I wanted to get anything in return, because I didn't think I was worthy. So if you gave me 100%, I had to give you 120. I didn't believe that I was worthy of that. So I believe that if I loved someone and they loved me, I should say, I had to give my love and then some. I had to give that extra bonus to make my love worthy for the other person to receive. Or should I say, to make myself worthy of receiving the love from the other person. Or even in the beginning of being a coach, at that time I was charging hourly, and I would have a specific hourly rate. But I felt I had to undercut myself because I really, really, really wanted to work with people. And so for me to be worthy and deserving of you to pay me to be your coach, this is how I was. And I was believing that I had to undercut myself in order for you to think, oh, she's worthy and deserving to pay her at least that much to work with me. And I'd over deliver. And what I would end up doing is getting way more because, of course, I want to make the experience for my client, as transformational as possible. But I would find that I would burn out because I was giving so much and I wasn't giving myself credit for what I was giving to that person, because I realized there's things out there that, for self-love as an example, it's priceless to me to love myself wholly without any judgment or criticism. I love myself unconditionally, and there's no price on that. It is priceless to me. But and I worked with coaches around that, and their prices to me is like, again, I couldn't pay that person who took me through a journey, who I believe is the person who helped me believe in myself and to really lean into loving myself. The coach that I worked with, what she gave me is beyond what I paid her. Like I got my money's worth, like on a whole other scale. Like if she had charged $1 million, it was worth $1 million. But like I said, it's priceless. So those are the silent sisters. You got self-criticism, self-defeating, self-destructive, self-doubt, self-hatred, self-humiliation, self-sabotage, and self-sacrifice. And what ends up when you allow the silent sisters to rule, right? When you let the silent sisters rule you, to manage you, it causes us to do the shame game. We shame ourselves, and in turn we suffer in silence, which in turn maybe isolates us from other people because we're too ashamed to tell them how we're feeling, because they're seeing that we're all put together. I know what that's like, because I thought a long time I was an imposter, because people were looking at me thinking I was this great person, and I was suffering in silence, not allowing myself to believe in my abilities and what I could do. And so instead I suffered and I isolated myself, and I suffered with that. And my emotions managed me, and I lost such an amazing, valuable commodity, which was my time, because it took away a lot of time focusing on suffering rather than getting into knowing that there's a flip side to those silent sisters. I didn't have to be in the limiting beliefs. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't function while managing and working through your limiting beliefs, but it does mean learning self-awareness around it. And it does mean really leaning in and doing the things to help you get through them. And sometimes being scared out of your mind of how that's going to look on the other side, like crossing the bridge, the rickety bridge, and you can't see below, but you know that to get to your salvation of being happy with yourself and being okay with where you're at in life and being able to be in this gratitude energy, that you have to do the work. And the work is crossing that bridge, even though you cannot see down. It's a deep cavern. It's dark. You cannot see the bottom. It's a rickety bridge, but you've got to get to the other side. That is why it's so important to look after you, to fill your cup daily, doing the daily self-care. And it will, I promise you, it will over time become such a habit that you absolutely love to do, that it becomes part of you, that makes you become more of a person than you ever thought. You're putting the best version of yourself out there. It is truly, truly possible. And I'm going to talk about that more as I lean into that tomorrow, about the inner hero. I'm going to reflect back on my life over the past year and revisit how empowering my inner hero has allowed me to live from gratitude. Like I said, gratitude stacking by bookending my days and powerfully showing up in the things that I say and that I do. And I cannot wait to come and share this with you tomorrow. Thank you so much for being on today. I hope this was helpful for you. Remember, you can have these silent sisters in your life, knowing that there's another option out there for you. There is another option. And I'm going to talk about that, like I said, the inner hero. She's waiting for you to activate her. She's ready to take you to the next level. She's ready to walk with you hand in hand to get you through it. Again, it's not easy, but it's doable in life. When you choose to be happy and you start doing the exercises and start doing the walk and move one foot in front of the other, and even if you only accomplish one thing today, that is okay. Celebrate it. Start your days with gratitude, end your days with gratitude, be in that higher level energy. One of the things I lean into every single morning when I wake up is that I am thankful. I give thanks for a brand new day, that I get to open my eyes, take my first breath, and I get to design how I show up. And that to me is a gift. So every day is a great day. So there's no more, oh, I hate Mondays. There's no more, I can't wish that until it's Friday. No, it's like I love every single day. I wake up with that mindset. And that starts me on the path of raising my gratitude, raising that energy so that my day, even though it might get disrupted, get derailed a little bit, I am in a better frame of mind and a better state of energy to manage that. So I hope that was helpful. I'm so excited for tomorrow. Thank you, ladies, for hopping on. I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.